Hello, it's me again, King Philidor, ready to take and broaden your horizons with the newest of information about chess and checks and captures. Hopefully, you're taking a look at the position here on the board. I'd advise you to take a few minutes, pause it, see if you can find a way to solve it. But I'm getting ready to let you in on what we call part two of the four-part rule. Now, in every video, you've heard me talk about every check and every capture every time, regardless of what you think, whether they can take you or not, whether it makes sense or not, to see where everybody can or cannot go. Well, if you've been doing that, you may have come to a realization that I'm about to share with you, and it's something you've never heard anywhere, never seen on any video, never read in any book, because the information I'm going to give you puts people who try to give you lessons to get better instead of lessons to teach you how to teach yourself how to get better out of business. Okay? So remember, the whole thing with the Richmond Chess Initiative is to take and teach you how to teach yourself how to be a better chess player. I can't take and pop your head open at the top and pour the information in, shake it up, and then it's going to be there. No. This is a matter of discipline. It's not skill, it's not memory, it's not creativity. Yes, it is. More than anything else is discipline, the right paradigms, and wide open mindedness. Now, I know I'm getting into a lot of gibberish, but we're going to get right into the lesson. Okay? So, let's give you the new rule. The new rule is every check and every capture, every time, regardless of what you think, whether they can take you or not, whether it makes sense or not, for kings and queens and rooks. Now, when I'm looking at this board, under what we talked about before, we would take and look at the checks and the captures. So we've got one check, then we've got, and then we've got, all right, so we got one check. All right, be real nice if we get that check in. Okay, because then the bishop's got everything cut off, and ooh, that gets to be some nice triangulation there. But under the new system, we're going to have a whole bunch of different stuff we can call check. So let's look at the checks when we're looking at the checks for kings and queens and rooks. So that would be two checks. That's 1, 2, then 3, then 4 and 5, and then 6, and then 7 and 8, and then 9, and then 10 and 11. So under the new system, when a chess player trained by RCI looks at this board, this move is check, this move is check, but so is this. This is check. This is check. This is check. Because we are now looking at kings and queens and rooks. So let's take a look at all of them again. We had the one here, which is, 1, 2, 3, then 4 and 5, then 6, then 7 and 8, then 9, then 10 and 11, and the one I did not come to, which I wanted to save to last to see if you catch me, and it's the most important one, is 12. When you are trained properly, when you train yourself properly, you have to understand that these 4 people are dignitaries. This is the president, but this is the vice president, and then this is the Speaker of the House, and then this is the Secretary of State. What is the one thing that we do not do? We never let them be all in the same place at the same time. And what that means is if you're attacking one of these and the other people are in proximity, they have to scatter. Well, it's a finite board. There's only so far and so fast they can run with everybody else in the way. So what does that mean? If there's a panic and everybody starts running, sooner or later somebody's going to get trampled. And if you're ready to pick them off when they're trying to run, that's what I meant earlier in one of the other videos when I explained this is a running piece. When you start treating the other pieces like they can be in check, you turn them into running pieces. And if they have not left themselves someplace to run, then they are now forced to be just like a king, where they either have to run, take, or block. They can sit there if they want to, and that's still always their option. The king doesn't have the option to sit there. For him, it's run, take, or block. For them, the option to run, take, or block, or just sit there is a lot more disorienting, more aggravating, more frustrating, and a lot harder to see. But it's not harder to see when you look at all the checks and captures for kings and queens and rooks all the time. So we're going to be covering this with a few examples. This one I want to take and show you with the queen. And then following in the next example, we're going to show you a game where the queen gets chased from move 8. And she makes 8 moves in a row while she gets chased around the board, giving up everything. And I think you're going to be really, really fascinated. So let's just get to how this works. If you're a student of King Philidor, from now on in your mind, when you move this piece here, you're going to say, what? That's right, check. And what's he going to do? Where's the queen going to go? Can't go to B3, can't go to C2. Now let me ask you something. If I switch this and put this down here, is this any less compelled to have to take this rook now than if here? If that queen decides to take that rook, the game's going to be over soon. I don't care how much else is going on here for the time being. In this particular position, queen takes rook is a downhill slide. So pawn takes. Now, if you're looking at your checks and captures like you're supposed to be, then the check you saw earlier when we were counting the 12 checks that we had, well, the queen was going to take us before, but now she can't. And that means we get to go here, check. King still blocked, the king still cut off. So now he's got to get to, now he's got to go up here. And we go here, check. The king has to go here. And now we go here, check. Now the king has to go here. And now pick off the pawn. And that's a problem. So now the only move, of course, is to bring the queen back, and that's mate. Now, is your opponent going to be able to see that far? Who cares? You got his queen. The game's potentially over. You know, if the response to bringing the rook down is to simply play queen takes rook, and then you play pawn takes, does that end the attack? Quite often you will find it does not. So these types of moves are absolutely, positively devastating. Because the one thing that they were willing to do to take and keep from losing was give up material, but they hadn't planned on doing it like that. So I told you it was going to be good. I told you it was going to be good. So let's look at it again with our quote unquote new vampire eyes. It's every check and every capture every time, regardless of what you think, whether they can take you or not, whether it makes sense or not, for kings and queens and rooks, so that we can see where everybody can and cannot go. And again, it's 2 checks, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, 11, 12. So from now on, when you look at this position, you see 12 checks. Your opponent saw 1. He did not see anything that would force him to run, take, or block like a king. I want to thank you very much for your time. I hope that what you've been shown is the new light for you. Over the next few lessons, we're going to be exploring more opportunities for the queen to be in check, more opportunities for the rooks to be in check, and how they make everybody scatter and basically fumble and fall all over each other to give you material attacks, checkmating attacks, and change the way you look at the board. Yeah, if you thought chess was difficult, the reason you thought it was difficult is because nobody's been telling you how to narrow down how to look for a move. And now you're learning how to narrow that down. The way you narrow it down, the way you make it fun, the way you make it exciting is you look for the checks and captures. Now, the way you make it dynamic, the way you make it explosive, the way you make yourself entirely unpredictable to your opponent is be looking to kill 4 dignitaries and watch them scatter and run and pick off whoever's left behind while they're only looking for 1. Again, thanks for your time. Put it in your games, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.